taken me a few minutes to put properly into words what today's guest's business model is. At first glance, I liken it to the experience I remember as a kid in the mall food court. The fantasy you realize of having all your favorites available in one meal. However, Hungry House, its roster, and the way it works with its collaborators is much more than an indulgent trip to the mall.
I do love them all, though. It's founded by Kristen Barnett, who has previous experience at Dig and Zool Ghost Kitchen, and started last year with your first season with our friend Chef Woldy Reyes, among others, including Martha Hoover and who was the other?
Ralston Williams, and then Rachel Krupa from The Good Smart.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So we've been going for a whole season, and we're about to launch into season 2 of Hungry House. So tell us a little bit about what the business is and
Explain it better than I did.
Yeah, we can do that. Essentially what we do is we partner with today's coolest up-and-coming chefs, but
I try.
I mean, we want to give chefs a way to scale access to their food, and our business essentially provides an opportunity to license their recipes, their signature dishes that maybe they've become known for on social media or through pop-ups. And, when you have the question come to you, where can I get your food? You can answer it then with Hungry House. And so we're utilizing a ghost kitchen virtual brand model. But I don't really like to associate with that because I think ghost kitchens sometimes have a reputation of a lack of transparency or low quality ingredients. And so we're really, as we jokingly call it, the anti-ghost kitchen because we value those things so much. And also, we are really a ghost kitchen for chefs, understanding that the nature of being a chef has changed drastically in the last 2 years, and we want to provide an opportunity for more chefs to scale their business.
Are you specifically finding chefs to work with, like Woldy, that wouldn't necessarily have access to sharing the food on a regular basis? Otherwise, people that are doing pop-ups or special events and things like that?
Exactly. I think, after going through this pandemic, which I think has been traumatic for a lot of people in our industry, the dream of a brick and mortar is no longer that kind of destination at the end of a long time that it was. And people are rethinking the structure of their careers, the opportunities that now exist with media, brand partnerships, and the fact that chefs, and deservingly so, have really earned a place in society where you get TV shows and Chef's Table was the early version of this. Now I think chefs are more important than ever to our culture, and people have such a great appreciation for them. And so you can do a lot more things without ever having to have a restaurant. And I just don't think that's what everyone wants. And so we're really, the answer to that.
to bridge that gap. So Woldy's here, he's the chef,
Yeah.
and he's gonna make one of the dishes that's on the Hungry House menu.
Yeah.
So what are we making today?
So we're making my classic, very popular bibingka, which is a Filipino coconut rice cake. And obviously I've kind of romanticized bibingka through my social media.
Yes.
And this was
He makes sexy bibingka.
Poultry bibingka.
That's a signature move.
But I'm just really excited that my bibingka is accessible through Hungry House. Before I can talk anymore, obviously we need to get to the actual making. So I'm gonna have my sous chef Alex basically mixing in all the dry ingredients. So we have 1 1/4 cup of rice
Everything
flour.
goes in?
Yeah, you can just put it into the mixing bowl, and then 1 1/4 cup of the glutinous rice flour.
Two kinds of rice flour.
2 kinds of rice flour.
Uh-huh.
So
Tell me the difference.
What's that?
Tell me the difference again.
So the glutinous rice flour is going to create that really bouncy, chewy, mochi
Yeah, I love
texture.
that
So
texture.
people literally
Yeah.
gagging over for that. So
Yeah.
I think that's what makes
Gagging in a good way.
gagging in a good way. You're not gonna choke and
Important
gag.
clarification.
It's sexy and
Cup of granulated sugar, and
little
then
domino.
and then baking powder, which is a tablespoon, and then a tablespoon of
It's too easy. It's all portioned.
He's a
kosher salt.
professional caterer.
I come in ready and be prepared.
He came with his
to do it.
knees. Appreciate you.
Having a catering background and starting my business is making sure everything is kind of ready to go. So once you have all the dry ingredients into the bowl, you want to mix it all together. So you have the salt, baking powder, all evenly distributed into the dry ingredients. And then that's kind of done. Now we're going to move to the wet ingredients. And basically you're going to add 1 full can of unsweetened coconut milk. The type of coconut milk I would suggest using is the Arroyo D type of coconut milk. We have a half a cup of melted coconut milk, not coconut milk, coconut oil.
Now, is this a traditional bibingka recipe or is
No,
it
it's a
tweaked?
modified bibingka recipe. So traditionally, it's made with eggs and butter. So I kind of, took inspiration from the whole Fonseca's bibingka recipe and then sort of changed it to a vegan version. So I already kind of like told Nicole like it's from your recipe, but I changed some of the ingredients and then sort of veganized it.
And that's just to make it accessible to more people.
Yeah, exactly. So traditionally, bibingka it's made in a banana leaf, baked in banana leaf, and then served with a salted duck egg and cheddar cheese. So it's it's a leaning more savory side. So this recipe is more to the sweeter side. So I'm celebrating that in that way. And then we're gonna add
It's a lot of
a
vanilla.
tablespoon
Okay, so not all that vanilla.
of vanilla extract into.
Did you even bring your own measuring?
Yes, I'm super prepared.
So
I like to be prepared. I think it's a half a cup of sparkling seltzer or seltzer water. The binding, yes, so a half a cup of sparkling or seltzer water.
How sparkly does the sparkling water have
You
to
want
be?
to be super bubbly.
You want it to be really
Yeah,
bubbly.
super carbonated.
Get your favorite super carbonated water.
I
Big bubbles only.
take bubbles only. Like and then add that into there. And then you're gonna whisk that all together. A muffin tin that has like 12 holes, I guess. And then before we add the batter in there, we're gonna mix in the wet and dry. So what I typically like to do, and Alex, you can do this for me, because you're the sous chef. While you're whisking, I'm gonna like slowly,
Just emulsifying and
It's emulsifying it.
yeah.
So tell me, as a chef, so first of all, how long is this each season and why did you choose that length of time for the seasons?
So each season runs 4 to 5 months.
4 to 5 months.
And the length of time, it really relates to kind of reaching the full potential of the partnership. And so the way we think about it is like naturally with any restaurant, you're typically doing seasonal menu changes. Obviously, my background at Dig, we were doing a lot, like based on the vegetables and all of our sourcing. Here, it's almost like we take that idea of a menu change and really try to like blow it out with new chefs and like really reinvigorate the menu, welcome a whole new audience, introduce our audience to new chefs, etc. Also in that time period, we're really able to do, as Woldy's saying, a lot of fun things. So like more events, actually like supporting with Woldy's events that maybe exist outside of the Hungry House ecosystem. We really are like meant to be that operating partner to help chefs scale their business, whatever form that takes. Like we are doing the production, and that is a really valuable thing when like Woldy's only one person.
Yeah, I'm like a one-man show.
You're a one-man
So
band.
now
Right.
there's like
Or like
a
an outsourced
partnership.
team.
Yeah, with Hungry House, it's like, oh, I need to work smarter, not harder.
And you're not in the kitchen every day though, right?
I'm not in
No.
the kitchen every day, but when we are developing new like recipes and drops, I'm there to sort of like work with their team and sort of get them excited about it and sort of like, oh wow, this is something new. So like the kitchen's kind of like learning new dishes that they're going to be like making. So
How has that process been of like handing it off and training?
I mean,
Did you feel like you just handed my baby?
Yeah.
Listen, when
Scary.
Kristen brought this idea to me, I was a little skeptical. I was like, what the fuck is a ghost kitchen? I didn't know what the ghost kitchen was until I did more research on it. I'm like, oh, so it's basically like mega celebrities are just capitalizing on food and then, it's made somewhere, I don't know where, and then you're like, oh, you can order, Mariah Carey's cookies. I'm like, what?
What, Mariah Carey has cookies?
Oh,
Yes,
yeah, she does.
She does.
The ghost kitchen industry is a weird place.
No, it's not a bad thing. As great that like you know they're like monetizing.
Yeah.
So extending, they're broadening their sort of
They're
like.
broadening their brand,
Their
like making it more accessible
but
to
like
people.
here I am as a chef. I'm like, oh well, I'm not a mega, but like I'm kind of up and coming. I'm still kind of like, you know, bootstrapping everything that I've been doing, like pop-ups and you know, catering events. You know, working with my team, but. This was like, oh, well, this is something new. I was a little nervous about like what this means, but the control thing was something that like I was nervous about because I like to be involved and sort of making sure that it's romanticized in a way that how I envision it. But I think we found a happy medium where I work with their teams, like still kind of like fits my aesthetic and flavors and giving it and providing to their team and executing it and sort of like standardizing it, which is like, to me, it's like I don't standardize. I mean, I just kind of like, you know, I'm a fairy. It's like, So I think this is a great, you know, for me to sort of like.
That's a good exercise.
Yeah, it's a good exercise to be like sort of like consistent. Like Lonnie has always told me like, you gotta like have your recipes all formulated. And like, I just don't have the time. Kristen has like all of this. It was like helping me standardize.
You know,
so there's four 3 to 5 dishes from 4 different chefs on the menu at each time.
Exactly.
So like 16 to 20 dishes basically.
Yeah, but we cross-utilize a lot of the base ingredients and prep like the cuts of the vegetables across all of them.
But it is different than the traditional ghost kitchen in the sense that you actually have a place where people can come and pick up their food.
Yeah.
See it being cooked.
Exactly.
Or like you said, sit in a communal space.
Yeah, we really try to talk about our suppliers. We are a real food business, not just some ghost kitchen down a dark alley cooking from God knows what suppliers. And so that's where I think it's both good for customers, but good for our chefs who want to know it too.
That's kind of like one of the main reasons why, you know, to me it was like transparency. It's like, oh, you're going to go somewhere and you know where you're sourcing your ingredients.
Let's get back to cooking.
Oh yeah. So it's fully incorporated, so it's nice and gooey and delicious.
And gooey.
And then I would typically take about a quarter, unless you have a quarter cup. Like we're in an actual kitchen, home kitchen.
Quarter cup.
Quarter cup. So I would make sure to take your coconut oil spray and just make sure like you want to scoop it and so that it slides out of the cup into your muffin tins or your cupcake tins. So a quarter cup goes into each tin. She's gonna go, once you fill it all up, she goes in the oven in the middle of the oven and bakes about, Kristen, what did you say about a home kitchen? I'm like thinking more.
I know about
probably half to 40 minutes, because knowing that like it's not being baked in a 9-inch cake pan. Yeah. But for this, it's probably half that time, so maybe 20 minutes.
Tell us a little bit about, and we talked about how chefs like Woldy can benefit, but you're also, one of your current roster is a chef that has brick and mortars, just in a different market. So how has the experience been for Martha Hooper with the burger?
Apocalypse Burger.
She's killing it. Like,
sales, how is she looking at it as a way to expand to different markets?
Yeah, so the second she created Apocalypse Burger last year, she called me and was like, I have this amazing brand that definitely like resonates more in her mind with the coastal cities than Indianapolis. And so from the get-go, she was like, how do we scale this out of the city? And was looking for options. And I hadn't started Hungry House at that time. And so we were always just in conversation about the amazing brand they created in Apocalypse Burger and where she could take it. And this brand that completely resonates with the moment we're living in. It's like end of the world anarchy with this like totally like sassy voice and great art to boot. So for them, it's cool because they actually, when they gave us the recipes, had already validated them in an operational environment. So our onboarding process looked really different. But then obviously we're cooking other concepts alongside. And so we've done the work, as we do with each of our chefs, of really understanding how to make this scalable outside of just one location. And so it's been a really great partnership. We're looking forward to expanding it. Cool. Yeah.
So when Kristen was telling me who were like the initial chefs or concepts. It was like, oh, you have Martha Hoover. I'm like, oh, cool, I love her, I respect her. And you have Ralston from Food Sermon.
Yeah.
So it's like that kind of like, made me feel confident that like I'm not just like lonely schmuck that's like what am I doing? What am I doing with these people? Like
the way we think about our changes is that I don't want to flip the whole menu like operationally. I think we all understand how much of a nightmare that would be.
Like, are you gonna shut down? What do you
No, oh my God.
Yeah.
So we think about changing between 25 and 30% of the menu every season.
Got it.
And part of this too is like acknowledging we're like incredibly early stage. So we don't have all the answers, and like that amount might change season to season, how much we actually shift. So what we're doing is Ralston, he is pursuing other really cool activities. Like he's working a lot in the islands with the nonprofit that he started after the volcanic eruption. And really just like taking his focus somewhere else. And that's why we honestly have this super modular, model of seasons, because it allows chefs, like they might want to do this for 4 months, but not longer. They might want to do it 1 year, or they might want to do it as long as possible. And the way we look at it too is this chef like, aligned with us from a vision and mission perspective? Are they investing in the partnership in the same way we are to see it grow and scale and be successful? And so
for me, it's training my sort of like business sense in a way, because I'm always just a creative, but like you get the real information from like how it's doing. It's like a mind blowing, experience. Like, wow, this is like doing well. What's not doing well? So, and I think for me, it's like from my perspective of it, from the chef or sort of the chef influencer, food creators or content creators, from my perspective, it's basically like they are making food through social media. And I feel like people want to like actually have access to their food. And this is a model that's gonna be like, oh wow, it's like you have this large community of followers and they want to eat your food, not just like make it, but like I want to eat actually Pierce's food or Tony or mine's or Martha's, whomever.
Their community wants to connect with their brand in many different formats and ways. And this is a way for them to like try the product without actually having to cook the food. And so we're super excited about that. And like, I see a huge world where we're partnering chef creators with great CPG brands, like bring new products to market to test them, to get that feedback. And like ultimately data is what's so valuable here and is, obviously super interesting to you, like to test it at this scale. And so I think like sky's the limit in terms of what we can do there. We're going to be expanding to Manhattan, which we're so excited about. An amazing location in the West Village. Yeah, it's going to be great.
The same menu, this in Brooklyn.
Yes.
So you won't run seasonally different menus. You'll have the same.
Yeah, always the same. So the model.
Even if you go to different markets, they would be the same. Like even if you leave.
Potentially smaller localized collaborations as we enter a market, just because our model is so conducive to that. But really for us, like the dream is that our chefs can then say, hey, all of New York, you can buy my food. We're scaling though more like a quick serve restaurant. Like that's our model. That's the way we think about our menu, our resources, our training, and our scalability. And then the way that we go beyond just being quick serve is that, as we were saying, like we're the production arm of the Woldy Kusina brand, right? And so there are so many opportunities beyond just like ready to eat takeout food. We've actually started like a huge wholesale business where we're producing like cold pre-prepared meals that are going to networks of fridges throughout the city, to grocery delivery startups. And so for us, like working with amazing intellectual property and brands and people that other companies want to work with, like we're able to actually drive more and more opportunities since we are the means of production for these chefs. So, again, it's all about like creating this infrastructure. And for us, like the more locations we have, the more kitchens we have, the better.
And how does that work with like from the marketing perspective? So are you're relying on the chef influencers to drive traffic and cross promote each other? Like is there set terms there? How do you think about that piece?
It's really collaborative, like and somewhat I've let it be more like intuitive and natural to better understand what is the right way to promote this partnership and tell that story, because I think as we've all acknowledged, this is like a very new model that like everyone's figuring out. There is no playbook. We definitely think about it through the business perspective of being so fortunate that our model works with, influencers that have this reach, have this connection to their followers.
For me, from my perspective, it's guerrilla style.
It's
marketing. Literally lure people into this and getting people really excited about whatever the fuck we're dropping. So, and I feel like that's kind of like what's cool about this. Like we're so nimble and basically like we're gonna do whatever and really like blast it out on social media and get really people excited and hopefully like they'll order it because like I saw you dancing, I'm gonna order that too now.
Has it worked? Which dance?
I was like
the dancing conversion. I think this is the thing that a lot of brands have awoken to for influencer marketing is like you can't be like this is exactly what you're gonna post and how it has to be of your voice and like and what's more authentic than your food. And so, obviously in the future, as we grow and scale, having resources and places to do content, film, like access our kitchens on a more programmatic basis, very important to us because it's ultimately that like collaborative storytelling that's like so important here.
The foundation of the business, are you self-funded or did you raise money?
We raised capital to start the business. We definitely realized in the beginning, we need to get started and actually open a physical location, which obviously takes capital. So we raised from some outside investors.
Okay, how was that process?
For me, actually, I was very fortunate. I have some incredible investors that I met and we aligned. They've been investing in the ghost kitchen space and had actually seen a lot of the challenges and dynamics up close. So they knew what I was building and why it mattered. Otherwise, it's a relatively complex model that's you first have to understand ghost kitchens, then you need to understand why this is different and why the chef relationship matters. So we partnered with some investors that have a lot of activity in the prop tech real estate space, but also in ghost kitchens.
I think you'll need to go back and raise more to keep growing past the West Village or even before the West Village.
Absolutely. So we're actively fundraising right now.
The fundraising.
Yes.
Actively fundraising. If anybody knows anybody.
Yeah.
If you're listening, watching.
Yeah.
Are you doing a series?
It would be our seed. Yeah, exactly. So we did the
Do you want to say
pre-seed.
how much you're looking for?
We're raising between $2 and $3 million.
Okay.
Yeah. And so for that, we really think about what's the milestone we want to reach before we raise a Series A to really blow out this model and expand in a much bigger fashion. So for us, we see this providing the capital we need to expand across New York really successfully, and then hopefully launch a pop-up in our second target market, which would be Miami.
Or bibingka.
Oh yeah.
I definitely smell bibingka.
Might have been about 20.
Oh, she's not ready yet.
She's not ready yet.
Yeah.
She needs a minute.
Yeah.
Should we lightning round
Yeah.
while we
go ahead.
wait for our bibinkas?
Great.
This is a hard one because you have multiple chefs. Favorite menu?
Oh
I think I can.
I know. You know which one I'm gonna pick.
Just in case. I think it has to be something off Woldy's menu.
No, I mean it is though, and that's the honest answer is the crispy mushroom balak, which has this insane Fresno coconut hot sauce that is just pure magic.
Your favorite, not on your menu.
Not on my menu. I do like Ralston's, their curry chickpeas that he makes there. So I just love his flavor profile because it's all meat. I enjoy it's spicy. It's heavily flavored for me, so I enjoy that. And
what's your split between delivery versus in store?
We are currently 75% in store.
Oh wow.
And 25% delivery.
Best food cost item?
Probably one of the house special salads that we have on our menu. This is a section of the menu where we make the model work in terms of the actual supply chain complexity. So we think about what are all of our partner chefs doing, and then what can we make salads and grain bowls from to push more volume on fresh product that otherwise wouldn't.
Hungry House created dishes that are separate from the chefs as well.
They're generic, meant to kind of just generally move more product and ensure that quality stays high for the vegetables we're using elsewhere.
Otherwise you're throwing everything in the garbage.
Exactly. And so the Kusina salad has roasted sweet potatoes. We actually put them in a grain bowl. It's basically okay, do you want jasmine rice or greens as your base? It's because he has jasmine rice on his menu. Then you pick your vegetable sides and it's like, oh, well, it's the carrots from Pierce's menu. You can add the guacamole from Tony's menu as like a sauce. And it's just allows us to cross-utilize at a higher rate. Yeah.
Best business resource.
Ooh.
Could be a person, a podcast, a book.
Oh my goodness. I mean, I think like my experience at Zool is my resource, which was like really working in the ghost kitchen industry and understanding the dynamics. I've seen so many people come into the industry being like, I'm going to create a ghost kitchen, and like things go haywire
Right.
because it's more expensive than you ever thought. You like need to think about digital customer acquisition. Like the storefront piece was something I learned at Zool. It's really hard to acquire customers without telling the local community you're there. So I look back on that experience constantly to really like validate and, you know, build our strategy here with Hungry House.
What about for you?
This best business resource?
Yeah.
Right now, I think it's Kristen Barnett. No, seriously, just because I'm just blown away by sort of like her understanding of the business. So for me, I'm just like this fairy who wants to just create, who wants to just like share my story about food, and then Kristen's there to like execute it and then produce it, and then like, and I learned so many great things from her. So, and also like the whole team at Hungry House, because it's a female-led company, and there's some really awesome people that are working there. So they're hustling. They're like, she jumps in the line when
She
someone
literally was saying when she got here that she was like making bibingka.
Yeah, so
She's like, they were busy. I made the bibingka.
literally, it's like they get in the trenches, and so and I feel like that's kind of been like, you know, they care.
Alex and I have a saying, it's never not schlepping for business.
Yeah, exactly.
Truly. Did you see how many bags I was carrying here this morning? I am schlepping.
Tell us, before you do, how people find you on social, Hungry House.
You can find me at Woldy Kusina on Instagram. TikTok, I also have TikTok, but it's not really food related. There's just dancing.
He loves to be DM'd feedback.
Please.
Yeah, send me your DMs about your
Yeah.
experience with Hungry House with my food. At Woldy Kusina. And
And then how do we find Hungry House?
We're at Order Hungry House on Instagram and TikTok, or orderhungryhouse.com if you want to place an order to actually try Woldy's delicious food.
And you're available, obviously. Well, thank you guys. You can follow us at Tilit NYC and at We Are Opening Soon, and on Heritage Radio as well.
I think
We
it's
could finish
almost
quickly.
ready.
It's almost ready.
I think she can be pulled out.
Let's see her. Let's see how it looks.
Yeah.